Space Launch System. Mega Moon Rocket. Source, NASA. By visualgk.com. NASA's Space Launch System, or SLS, will be the first vehicle in 50 years, able to carry humans to the Moon. The first version of the SLS, called Block 1, has taken 11 years to get to the launch pad. It is more powerful than the Saturn V rockets that carried Apollo missions to the Moon. The SLS Block 1 will launch an uncrewed Orion space capsule for the Artemis 1 mission on a 42-day journey to the Moon and back. The mission will require the capsule to travel a total distance of 2.1 million kilometers. The SLS is the centerpiece of the $93 billion Artemis program, created to take humans back to the Moon by 2025. NASA is planning to land the first woman and first person of color on the Moon. NASA sees a return to the Moon as a way to prepare to go to Mars with astronauts sometime in the 2030s or soon after. NASA hopes that Artemis will be sustainable and long-lived, establishing a major presence on the Moon and a small space station in orbit that can act as a jumping-off point down to the surface. NASA's Orion spacecraft. How SLS works. The SLS consists of a giant core stage, flanked by two solid rocket boosters, or SRBs. The core houses two large storage tanks. One for liquid hydrogen, the fuel, and another for liquid oxygen, an oxidizer, which makes the fuel burn. Together, these are known as propellants. At the base of the core stage are four RS-25 engines, the same ones that powered the Space Shuttle, retired in 2011. When liquid hydrogen and oxygen are fed into the engine chambers and ignited with a spark, the chemical reaction produces vast amounts of energy and steam. The steam exits engine nozzles at speeds of 16,000 km per hour to generate thrust, that is the force that propels a rocket through the air. The SRBs give the rocket extra power to escape gravity's clutches. These twin boosters burn 6 tons of solid propellant each second. They provide 75% of total thrust during the first 2 minutes of flight. The most powerful rocket ever? If we use thrust as a measure, the SLS will be the most powerful rocket ever when it flies to space. The SLS Block 1 will generate 8.8 million pounds of thrust at launch. That's close to 15% more than the Saturn V rockets. In the 1960s, the Soviet Union built a rocket called the N-1. Its first stage could produce 10.2 million pounds of thrust. But all 4 test flights ended in failure. A future version of the SLS, called Block 2 Cargo, should approach the N-1's thrust levels. But a space vehicle called Starship, being developed by Elon Musk's company SpaceX, should exceed both, producing as much as 15 million pounds of thrust. How SLS compares. The Space Shuttle. Height, 56.1 meters. Flew between April 1981 and July 2011. SpaceX, Falcon Heavy. Height, 70 meters. World's most powerful operational rocket. SLS, Block 1. Height, 98.1 meters. Saturn V. Height, 110.6 meters. Used in the Apollo program, to send astronauts to the Moon. SLS, Block 2 Cargo. Height, 111.3 meters. SpaceX, Starship. Height, 120 meters. future of SLS. NASA's plans call for the SLS to take flight, about once every 2 years, at a cost for each Artemis mission, at $4.1 billion. The unjustifiable cost, and low launch rate meant the US was likely to turn to cheaper alternatives, when they were available. The agency's auditor wrote last year, that to put its manned spaceflight program on a secure long-term footing, it would have to turn to cheaper commercial alternatives to SLS. These are likely to include a number of heavy launch rockets that employ varying degrees of reusability. SpaceX's Starship, Blue Origin's New Glenn, and the Vulcan Centaur, being developed by United Launch Alliance, a joint venture between Boeing and Lockheed Martin, are all awaiting their first test flights. NASA has scheduled 4 missions for the SLS, with the third due to take humans to the Moon. After that, it is unclear whether it will fly again. Please like, share and subscribe. visualgk.com